and me forever. Babu, 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 Babu.
This one's like as tough as ALC everything right here. This is or tougher. But part of me is a little biased just because I was a little more directly influenced being on the West Coast by ISP. But at the same time, you know, half of my whole style and my battle, you know, persona was defined by the X-Men. You know, real early on, I was super blown back by Steve D. When I first saw Steve D, it was what year DMC was at? I want to say it was in 1990 or 91 DMC USA, and you know, at that time it was pre-internet. It was hard to get info. You know, by the time you found out about a DMC contest, it's 6 months ago already. You know, so I remember it was big that year because, you know, it was at that time where I'd have a VCR and a blank tape ready to record shit. You know, I never knew when I'd be able to catch some DJing, or, you know, MTV Raps is on and that dope video comes on or whatever. So I remember MTV News covered the DMC USA battle, and I was just blown away. All these dudes, you know, I'd only heard of, you know, talking about the battles, and, you know, and Hubert and Steve D were the ones who killed that battle. And I remember a few months later being able to actually get that video, you know, get through the grapevine and getting a copy of a copy of a copy, and that video super influenced me. You know, it was the year Hubert came out and just dropped new techniques on everybody. Like, up until that point, it was like super fast body tricks, and like people were just going absurd with it, like so fast, like it wasn't even musical. It was just going fast for the sake, and that shit is incredibly hard. You know, when you've got dudes doing this, you know, but you know, it just got to that point in the circle where it was like it was just done to death, and something new needed to happen. Steve D and Cuba came along and just put a whole new twist. Both of those guys didn't really do anything flashy in their whole sets. Everything was a technical push. Steve D came in just breaking down every record in such a funky, rhythmic way. You know, all of a sudden the beat's at 100 BPM, and then he'd break it down to just some head nod, and just taking some record you knew and just remix it right in front of your face and create a new breakdown and a pattern. And then here's Hubert playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, scratching at BPMs and doing scratch techniques you never knew were possible, like, you know, turn the needle upside down and took a record and, you know, was scratching the record across the needle. Just, you know, so it's a really tough call, but, you know, both of those dudes, and, you know, as later those crews developed and made more noise, like, they all influenced me really hard. You know, peace to Rock Raider, my boy, rest in peace, you know what I'm saying? Mixmaster Mike really was a big influence on me. Mr. Sinister, both crews, I mean, Rob Swift, DJ Apollo. I can't even answer it, man. It's tough, but those guys really defined, you know, a lot of what I did as a DJ in the battle realm, and even up to now, you know what I mean, how I feel about the turntables and being a DJ and a turntablist and all that. ASR10 all day. I was raised on Sonic machines. My first real sampler, I had this Vestax mixer back in the day, and it had like an 8-second sampler on it. So, you know, you could either have a bank of 20, one bank of 20, or pardon my math, or 4 banks of 8, or you know what I mean. Like, basically, you only had like, you know, 10 to 20 seconds. I can't remember. So I used to do a lot of 4 tracking and work with that, and just manually just one-shot triggering and stuff. But the first real sampler I got was a Sonic Mirage, which, if you know, was like the early, before the Ensoniq EPS 16 series. So it was a very basic keyboard sampler, really parallel to the SP as far as what you could do. You could do simple sequencing, and it had about 10-second sampling time. But with a 4-track, you know, I mean, I was like, woo, I could go crazy. I could make a loop and record it, and then go back and had a bass line, and yada yada, do cuts. And so I spent a lot of years on that, just learning that and digging it and using that sampler. And I hit a point where I just was limited. And at that time, I was hanging out a lot with my man, Can Kit, and he put me up on the Ensoniq EPS 16. So, you know, I remember going through the WAN ads and finding one and getting a dope used one, and EPS 16 Plus is what I had for the longest. And for those that don't know, the 16 Plus is basically the ASR before the ASR came out. So I stayed on the 16 plus for the longest time, and I love that machine. So I knew it in and out, and sooner or later, I don't know what was the limitation. Maybe I think it was just due to time. I had a hard time finding the right chips to expand the memory and get more sampling time, but I realized after being around Ed and being around Joey Chavez and Al and seeing their ASRs and how they had theirs blown out, I was like, oh man, it's the same shit. I need to get this ASR shit and not be limited anymore. So, you know, for, you know, a good 8 years after that, I was on the ASR 10, loved it, but I haven't touched it in a while. I can't even front. I'm on some, you know, I'm on some new shit, but even the new shit I use now, I'm on Reason. I've been on Reason now for like 6 or 7 years strong, and the one thing that made me transition is that there's a sampler within there that's just like an ASR 10. So, you know, with a good MIDI controller and that actual sampler I use within the Reason program, I still feel like I'm on an ASR 10 in a lot of ways, but Sonic ASR 10 for life. Twitter by far. I do the Facebook thing, but I don't really get it. I think I have 2 pages, you know what I'm saying? I have my legal name page and I have my DJ Babu page. The DJ Babu page is kind of something more nature sound set up for me, and I check on it. It's linked to my Twitter. But Twitter I'm really active on. All my homies are on there. I got on it early, and it was kind of just stripped down, and it was something easy that fit my lifestyle. It was on my phone. I really don't use Twitter too much on the computer unless I'm overseas or something, but when I'm here at home in the States, I'm Twitter on my hip. It's almost a better way to get a hold of my friends almost now versus, you know, I know if a text don't hit them and my phone call doesn't reach them, I look on Twitter, let me see if this motherfucker's on Twitter dodging me, you know what I'm saying? So, but, you know, and it's a great tool, and it's a great place just to, like, you know, test a lot of my comedy that I'm working on, and jokes and just dumb shenanigans, but I don't know, it's crazy. It's crazy to turn on the news and, you know, you see a news reporter and they're like, you want to know more about the news or me, you know, hit me at my Twitter, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and I'm starting to see it overseas happen a little bit more. It seems like it's really catching on in the UK. Definitely, I think the hip hop thing, it really clicked, you know what I mean? I know there's a lot of people on the international tip are starting to realize Twitter's there, and you can really be seeing what your favorite artists or even your homies across the ocean. If you really are active on Twitter, you can really keep up and get a vibe with people and really reach out to people. But, you know, it's what it is in this day and age, immediate gratification, man, you know? I hear a song, I want it, go to the internet and get it, you know? Now it's like, I want to talk to Jay Electronica, I'm following on Twitter, and I'm going to hear what he says, you know what I mean? Like, and I'll send him messages and maybe this fool even answers, you know what I'm saying? So, but, I embrace it and I love it. For me personally, being an independent artist, you know, I'm one of those dudes. I'm on the twit. You holler at me, I really holler back. A lot of my promotions is through it. You know, if I'm putting out new music or new project or one of my new short films or something, like, it goes through Twitter. When I do my Ustream, the way Ustream and Twitter works is out of control. It's almost hand in hand, you know. Even like when we send out our Ustream link and then it's like all show, we're just sending out twits about the show being on, and that's really the only way you know about it, you know, unless we call you or something, you know what I mean? So, big fan of Twitter. Addicted, you know, to say the least.